Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome back. Welcome back to another week.
I'm your host Vidal. How y'all doing this week? Horatio, I could not hear you. I don't know if it's me or you. Are you muted?
Oh, can you hear me?
Here we go. There we go.
Okay, my fault. I don't know. I think I was muted the whole time.
I heard the
Damn.
first
What?
second.
Okay, it is okay. Bro, to only be 2 weeks into the band season, bro.
Yeah,
Bro, it is electric out here, man. The
it's
HBCU
on
band
fire.
season, bro, is on fire, and I can literally tell. Now, granted, we missed last week. We missed week one recaps, but bro, for the past 2 weeks, man, I have been thoroughly entertained. What is your
Mhm.
take on the band season thus far?
Man, this is a fast starting season. We have like what 2, 3 battle of bands at the gate. We already got Boombox here, some matchups, bands coming out full force, and it's almost like mid-season already with what we got going on. And you
Right.
got matchups. If you love the SWAC, there's matchups. If you love some of these other conferences, there's matchups. It's there.
Yes. Yes. So
Mhm.
I'm very excited. And we like to have a theme throughout the episode just to make sure we tie it all back together. First of all, we want to make sure that we shout out FaceOff. Also our podcast, Crank Up HBCU Band Podcast. But Manny, what is the theme for tonight
So,
as we get into week 2?
so the theme for tonight is trim the fat, man. Trim
Trim
the fat.
the
Trim the
fat.
fat. We gonna see a couple. We gonna talk about a couple bands that trim the fat and did well, and we gonna talk about a band that trimmed the fat and didn't do something well. Like
Oh,
sometimes,
that fat meat is greasy. That fat
right?
meat got a lot of calories.
You
Yeah,
need it.
gotta trim it.
Sometimes you need some. Like this your first time trimming the fat, and you let your son or whatever. I don't have no kids, but saying you got a child, you let them cut the meat the first time you come back, the rib looking all thin. You like what happened?
Right.
What happened? But some of them is just right. So we
Yeah.
will get into that this week. The theme is trim the fat.
Absolutely. Trim the fat. Okay. And so with that being our theme, I want to talk about, bro, a lot of these bands, what's great when, we talked about identity last week or 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And something that goes big with identity is what you're wearing, your uniform. So a lot of bands are getting new uniforms. I saw Jackson State had new uniforms. Clark Atlanta, and there was
Mhm.
another college I forgot that did. But shout out to the bands getting new uniforms, Joe. And we
Mhm.
are. I don't know. Have you ever been in a band with a new uniform? And you know the woes of getting a new uniform. You got to make sure it's like clean. Like it's the most pristine thing ever because it's a new identity for the band. So what do you think about some of these new uniforms for these bands? They popping out. They having specific events just to showcase the uniforms.
I like the new uniforms. I seen the new uniforms for Jackson State. Jackson State alum myself. They really popped out to me when I seen it. They did a post on Twitter I saw, and I was a little unsure about it when I saw it on Twitter. But when I saw them on the field at the game and how they was marching out, I was like, "Oh, these are fire. These are straight fire. I
Right.
love them." And it gets like I feel like uniform change can also go with like an identity like shift or
Hmm.
like this turning a new leaf for a band. So
Right.
I
Right.
think it really goes well with these new uniforms. And like shout out to the bands. I know we got bands with new windsuits like every year, but I've seen
Mhm.
a couple bands with some unique windsuits and stuff this year.
Right.
Jackson State windsuits, they had it at the FAMU game was fire. I like the yellow Alabama State
Hmm.
ones they had versus Miles. I
Right.
call that one the Yellow Belly Classic, and it was just all yellowed out.
But
And
bro, I have that in my notes. I said first thing is both bands in yellow. Who is who? That's my
right,
first note. But yeah, shout out to the new uniforms, bro. In these bands, like we said, when it comes to identity, that's obviously the strongest point. You know what I'm saying? Noticing who you are as a band. So when you get
Mhm.
a new uniform, it's really a time to really like kind of enhance your identity along with the uniform.
Right.
So we just talked about it. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So like we said, we missed last week, so we're gonna sprinkle in a bit of last week's battles and this week. But first off, let's start with Miles in Alabama State.
Right.
Now, look, bro. Okay, we got to talk about this too, and this would be like a little side conversation. Disruptor bands, right? Programs that were built on like disrupting the bigger bands, and I think that Miles was a big component in that. And here's why I feel like Miles is slipping, bro. I feel
Mhm.
like when I say they're slipping, meaning like I would say from 2018, 2017 until now, Miles really been a different program to me, in my eyes. The aggression and everything. They did not sound bad in this battle to me. I
Right.
thought that I I just feel like Miles wasn't really represented how I normally see them. Um, what what do you think about Miles' performance in this battle?
I
Because
think
it was pretty even to me, this whole battle. It was hard for me to pick a winner.
I had Alabama State clear, but because let me get on Miles first. Not get on Miles. Let me tell you about Miles.
Mhm.
I feel as though the way that Miles showed up was really not indicative of the Miles that we as a fan base know and love. What they showed up and they was like, okay. To me, Miles really hasn't had a stellar performance since probably I'm talking about stands wise that Alcorn game like 2016,
Mhm.
and they really didn't have anything stand out. Like some of the song selections in the fifth, I was just like, you just gave them that round. Like
Right.
My Band, when they played My Band, I was like,
Yeah.
y'all can have
Right.
like Alabama State, y'all take it. This the round, take
Yeah.
it. Like so, I just don't understand some of the song
But I
selections.
didn't want to give it to Alabama State so much, bro, because we talk about Alabama State, bro. Their
Yeah,
arrangements are elementary, like choppy, bro. And it's like I can hear the chop in their arrangements, and they don't really like give it to me all the way. So it was hard for me to choose, like, like
mm-hmm.
a winner. And also, too, can we talk about this too? What do you think about splitting up the bands? You see with Alabama State, they have like a rails in between
Right.
the bands. What do you think about that? Like, do you think that's
Look,
splitting up the band? Just do you think that adds or take away from the program? Like, because you don't practice like that at all.
right. I think Alabama State is trying to figure out what can we do to not lose at home because
Right.
it's been their stadium has been like set up for them to take L's, and I
Yeah,
feel like
bro.
these past 2 seasons they've did a good job defending home as compared to other years.
Right.
So I'll leave them to experiment. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll
Yeah.
leave them to experiment and try some stuff out.
Yes. Bama State has the best stadium when it comes to just battles, and I don't know what it's about. Maybe it's like how the fans how it's sitting like with the fans right beside the bands, and it's kind of like a little like an over. I don't know, but it's such a great stadium for that. What you
Yeah.
think of it?
I played there twice? Yeah, 2018, 2016. You low to the ground, and both of y'all be low to the ground. So your sound really comes back to you and you
Right.
can feel it going throughout the whole stadium. And it really helps you feed off your own energy if you the away band. So and you got that side where the fans just talking trash. So if you a
Right.
band with some nuts, you like, man, you
Right.
energy. It fill
Definitely.
you up.
Yeah. So okay.
So,
I
but
wanted to make that point about Miles. I don't want to say like I feel like they're on a down slope, but I feel like the energy of like, yo, Miles comes out of nowhere, this big program, and they're not really on like the big stage, but they're contending. And I feel like they lost that edge. That's what I'm
right.
saying, like disruptor programs. People always look at like we talk about a Titan battles, Boombox, which this week we're gonna get into later, which
Mm-hmm.
is two bands that most people consider the highest ranked HBCU bands, right? But when you had a band like Miles, I mean, come out of nowhere, and their cleanliness would work for them so much where you'd be like, man, Miles is really killing, but I feel like they lost that edge, and that's something that we want to see Miles come back with this season. Any last words on Miles and Bama State? I'm gonna say I had Miles, man. I didn't really like the elementariness of Bama State. They didn't really give it to me like that. What you think?
I had Alabama State winning. I feel like they had more standout songs to me. I think they neo sold them to death, and
They did.
they
They
played
played
the Erica
Call
Badu.
Tyrone.
Yeah, and then they
Mhm.
played what's the other one? It was another neo.
I know, I forgot.
Was it Jill Scott? Something like that.
Yeah,
I
the
I don't
last
know.
song.
Y'all watch it. Y'all figured it out. Y'all know. But anyway,
Definitely.
I feel like those were standout selections, and Miles had some like questionable ones. Like they played the Jamie Foxx ballad, and I was just like, oh no, they could have kept that one. I
Right.
feel like they could have kept My Band from D12.
Mhm.
But yeah. Also, I got probably like one more week of Annihilate. I'm just
I didn't realize that song came from Spider-Man. I realized that a couple of days ago when I was watching videos. I'm like, yo, everybody's playing it though. I mean, and it was a song that people were playing during the All-Star Band season. So either way, shout out to Bama State and shout out to Miles. Real quick, we're gonna go back to a battle last week since we're already on Alabama State. Southern versus Alabama State. Now, again, we talk about the energy at Alabama State's stadium, but bro, the energy in that game, it's like you love to see the fans get into it. And that's something that you love to see with at Alabama State Stadium. That was a great battle, Southern versus Alabama State. I really enjoyed myself watching the battle. And to me, Alabama State played like they was playing Southern. It was, to me, great energy. What do you think about the battle, Southern versus Alabama State, and then we can move on real quick.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. The fifth seemed more like a chess match to me. They was trying to really feel each other out, and I feel like when you got those type of battles, especially against Southern, you're gonna pull out a lot of ballots in those types. Like, so, whenever the fifth open up and both bands play a ballot open up, so I'm like, okay, this is about to be who can outplay, who got the better song, really type of song selection type of fifth, and it was really enjoyable. And I was like, dang, we got this early in the season. Right. I would like to see this game 3 or 4, but it is what it is. We started fast this season, quick in a hurry.
Right. Hopefully these bands don't experience like burnout, because like you said, Boombox, which is like I said, one of the biggest battles of the year, was week 2. So it's like somehow it's like where do we go from here?
Right.
So hopefully we'll experience that. But we have a lot of great band battles coming up in the next couple of weeks. But let's go and get into Boombox, man. At Southern, I was worried about it this year because, of course, I hate the dynamic of Southern playing straightforward and then the band is in the corner. So I watched the beginning of it, and it was normal, like I thought. And then I watched the fifth, and now they're right in the middle of the band. They're right in the middle of I've never seen a band line up in Mumford like this. So I don't know what happened. As an alumni, can you tell me how did the space open up? How did they move? Let me know.
I seen the video. They just moved over there. Like we Jackson State.
Staff over there and be like, "Hey guys, move over. Everybody's gonna come over here." They just walked over there. They even like, I'm sure they didn't march out and then march back in.
Of course not. Yeah. And we know if we look at the old fists of the past, we've seen people go on the field across from the band. We've seen bands line up directly below the band. Yeah. And I like the comment said that move was so dope. I really think it was like cool because we had never seen it before. And it's Boombox early out the gate. And then Jack's like, no, we want to smoke. Everybody's saying, you be in the corner, you don't hear Southern's full sound. Like, no, we want that. We want that battle. We want it.
And so now there are no excuses. No, we just said it. There are no excuses at all. And you can't say, well, we didn't get it. And I think the winner of this battle, when it comes to Boombox, bro, band is so subjective based on where you're from, who taught you the style of area that you kind of grew up in. But when it comes to Boombox, it really does kind of come down to your own personal taste of band, bro, because the winner was the audience in this case for me, man. It was a lot of great songs. I think a standout was the Thank God battle, and which was hard to choose. We always say, like, when you play a song that somebody else just played, it has to be better, because you're not gonna put the audience through the same song and it be worse. You know what I'm saying? So you have to make that statement. And I feel like Jackson played it first. Southern came back with it. I felt like Southern had a better arrangement, but it was hard to choose with this whole battle. Give me your breakdown on Boombox.
Man, from top to bottom, So start with the zero, man. Both of them came out with them classics first. We had Flexin' from Jackson State. Southern played a song before that, but Flexin' from Jackson State, great classic. Right. And then you had Southern come up with a 2016 classic, Sucker for Pain. Right. So, and I was like, dang, this is how we started off this Boombox. And really, like, even though it's early in the season, these bands are like, we're showing up, we're showing out. Yeah. We really don't care. Right. I noticed some tempo issues from Southern early on. It just didn't seem like they was really gelling like that. And to me, that's my first inspiration to trim the fat, man. I think they had their percussion section and their tuba section was too large, especially like over the years, we have seen Southern have phenomenal, great bands that really weren't that large, that did not have to be that big. And I feel like that would help the clarity of sound and cohesiveness as a band, especially when it came to tempo issues. Because this is like really the first time I've seen Southern with tubas behind the percussion
Right.
section up top.
Yeah.
And they did have some phasing issues. And I think
Yeah.
it played a big part.
Yeah. I
And
saw
then,
that at Alabama State. When I was watching I'm like, man, they have people out on the where the people are. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
that, like, obviously that can affect things. My fault. Go ahead.
But then I see Jackson State, and I'm looking like, yo, they look smaller compared to like the merge.
Right.
So it seemed, and they would seem more cohesive as far as togetherness, starting on time, no tempo issues. So I'm feeling like when they made that away game, I'm like, look, we have an active season, we going away. Like some of y'all just can't make it. We
Right.
coming in with the people who we can depend on and trust,
Mm-hmm.
who can make the cut. So they trimmed the fat off. And was able to have a stellar performance. I still enjoyed a lot of Southern, but it just wasn't, to me, it wasn't their best performance.
Right. Right. And going back to our thing, which is trim the fat. Southern had to trim the fat on their UFOs, bro. A lot of blaringness coming from the
Yeah,
UFOs, man. And I wanted to say that too in the Alabama State game. It was worse in the Alabama State game than it was in
yeah,
this game. Um, at the Alabama State game, bro, it was crazy. It was ridiculous. Like, and it was like one or two people. Like, it's crazy how. I mean, that has to be a theme coming, with the weeks. How like one or two people can just ruin a whole auditory experience. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Like it's very weird that you could think that, but like yeah. And so I feel like that was the case with Southern. So I think that's trimming the fat too. But that's more of like a Superman ego thing than it is personnel, like cutting these, you know what I'm saying, like cutting them out the
Mm-hmm.
band rather than like an ego thing. But anything else with Boombox, like I said, it was hard for me to choose. A comment said it was like a consensus that it was Jackson. I feel like Jackson being in that area just like energized them. It was a new energy coming, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like they really brought it. But bro, for week 2,
Yeah.
energy is going crazy in these battles, yo. So what do you think about Boombox as we close out and move on?
Yo, I feel like either way you could go with him. Either way, whatever your preference is, what you like. I had a slight edge towards Jackson. I watched it like 1.5 times,
Mhm.
so I think I gave a slight edge to Jackson off those watches. But I feel like maybe I watch it again, I may have a different opinion. So
Right.
I think both of them did, and that's as far as the fifth. I gave it the 0 to Jackson though, but
Yeah.
I feel like whatever you really like from these bands, you could make a case for either of them.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely, man. Well, we got the exciting swag out the way. So let's move on to some other conferences that, I'm not saying are boring. You said that. I didn't say that at all. So
They told me that's what
I
that's what
was
I was
at
told.
the North Carolina A&T versus North Carolina Central game, which is a big rivalry. Again, another big rivalry that is normally towards the end of the season, now at the beginning. And I'm excited to go, man. I haven't seen A&T since 2021, which is
Wow.
when I graduated from A&T. I haven't seen them in person in a while. And I haven't seen, Central. Okay. Here's what I will say. This is my first time seeing North Carolina Central like buck up, like really like have a competitive edge to them to like really make me be like, wow, man, like Central really is like giving it. When I say giving, like they had the aggression. I really feel like A&T, for some reason, man, A&T doesn't really give me no like R this year. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like they really seem like it's going through the motions as a program. And to me, to have a band, and again, they move seats, whereas A&T was kind of with the crowd in like on their home side. They're now like right behind the field goal. So they changed like it's like a Southern effect, kind of like they would have to turn in order to see the band every time. So that was another problem for me too. Whereas I'm used to seeing them right straight ahead from another band. They were middle and then them to the side and never turned to the other band. So I feel like that gave Central an edge too, because again, it's new seating. They're kind of closer to each other, but Central was able to kind of direct their bells and their attention, their aggression at A&T, whereas A&T didn't. Um, and again, man, too, when it comes to me, when it comes to seeing bands in person, like people come out to see y'all and see this battle. Give them something different than what they saw online. I feel like Ante, a lot of these MEAC bands depend on that. We'll get to Norfolk State in a minute too. Like I feel like they have that same problem in the sense of like, yo, you cannot tell me that these kids cannot. I'm not saying learn new material week by week. You cannot tell me that because they do. They do learn. It's just not maybe not. It's not scheduled in a battle format as well as it is in the SWAC. You know.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of these different conferences, MEAC, SEAC, CIAA, would really benefit from like taking a more battle approach. People are coming to these games to see you, and I don't want to hear the song that you play at the Fan Fest or the Pop Out or whatever. You know, it's like people, they need more of a competitive edge. So I think that Central did a very good job with that competitive edge.
Let me commend Central real quick because I remember you saying this is the first time seeing Central pop out. It just made me think like over the past 3 years we've seen Central at like Celebration Bowl games against SWAC competition. We've seen them at these Battle of the Bands events taking on battles. So they've had like that battle experience outside of their direct MEAC matchups. So it's like if you in there, you get thrown to the lions every other time. You got some competition that's a little bit closer. You be like, okay, it's our time to eat.
Right.
So,
It's same thing we talking about how like I've seen South Carolina State. South Carolina State played they played Jackson right their first game. Right. It's like what's next? You know what I'm saying? Like they already have like the big dog type of feel. And I feel like Central is getting that exposure more than they did in the past. And they really are bucking up, bro. Great tubas, good low brass. High brass still needs to work, but good low brass, man. And I feel like Central with a couple more years of them getting thrown in the fire like this, bro. They can, man. And I play Central every year. I mean, I would Ante. Yeah. So I feel like Ante didn't really come with that aggression. I think that they won the fifth. I mean, by a hair, bro. A hair, and that's basically because of some of the song selection was better. They didn't necessarily, we talk about band battles and like it's like DJing. They didn't necessarily go with Central sometimes when they wanted to play the ballad or they wanted to play like they stayed their own frame. And I feel like that was good, and it got the crowd energized. But throughout the game, Central owned that ass. So shout out to Central, shout out to Ante. I love you guys, but we got to call it how we see it. Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on. What you got? You said you checked out Tennessee State. And,
I checked out Tennessee State and UAPB. So, all right, checking out this game. So I'm like, okay, this is the new Southern Heritage Classic because Jackson State is no longer in that classic. Right. For whatever, I don't be in the football policies like stuff like money games, all that type of stuff. Not making enough money. I'm gonna let the other people who talk football. They can have that. I'm here for the band.
Right. We're here for the band.
We got UAPB versus Tennessee State. All right, so UAPB. When UAPB is good, the SWAC is interesting. The SWAC is a better place when UAPB is good.
Okay.
This year is not.
Why you say that?
Man, UAPB is like is one of them. You can forget UAPB is like in the SWAC. Yeah. And it gives you something else to look at and gives you more matchups that you feel like is dynamic. And plus, it makes it harder for in a conference that's already so band competitive. Like I've been in SWAC. I'm gonna tell you, sometimes if it's a rigorous season, we looking for some weeks off. We're looking for some like mental weeks off. Mm-hmm. You can't get amped up like
Right. You really show up when you get there. That's when you kind of show up. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
like right? Yeah. Like coming out Tuesday, we got UAPB Saturday. You like, but being that this is early matchup, UAPB just really didn't sound good to me at all. Like at all.
Really?
And it's like, and I was just listening to them. I was trying to figure out why, because I was like, it don't sound like they don't have skill. It sounded like they showed up to the game that their lips was dead. And I remember I was like, I don't want to make excuses for them, but I know there's a parade before this. And shoot, I have shown up, and the band has showed up previously times sounding like our lips was dead. Maybe, but it really exposed them when they was trying to crank up. And this is why I like to say cranking up is like an art/style of play, right? To me, cranking up is to HBC marching band as jazz is to swinging. You have to practice it. You have to internalize it and know what you're doing in order to execute it properly. You just can't add volume and think we gonna sound good. It's gonna be a-okay. No, because I feel like when they were on some more reserved songs where they really wasn't trying to push out like that, they sounded much better.
Right.
Let me move up to Tennessee State, man. So, like we were saying, it gives you an extra energy and extra boost when you have to get up for something, get up for another band. And with UAPB in this slot and Jackson out of this slot, I feel like Tennessee State kind of took it back.
Take it back.
They laid off, and it really showed me that they wasn't really into the game like they were meant to be as far as the preparation and intent in a game. Why do I say this, right?
Wait, hold on. How did both bands slack? I thought Tennessee State slack because they said it's UAPB. UAPB, how you supposed to get up for Tennessee State? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right, my fault. Go ahead.
But it was like, to me, it was just kind of like coming. This is my mindset if I'm at Tennessee State, right? Coming out of band camp, I know first time I'm gonna have big eyes on me is gonna be the Jackson State game, and Jackson State is a respectable program that we're gonna need to work for. And we really don't see too many HBCUs at the gate.
Right.
And now it's UAPB, so I'm like, well, I really don't have that fear that pushes me to get that extra work hard or something to go to when I know it's UAPB. And to me, in their fifth, they sounded worse than they did at the
Houston battle.
Yes, the Houston battle. So it really just took me aback to with their sound, man. It just really wasn't what I'm really used to seeing from Tennessee State, especially early out the gate. I was typically used to seeing Tennessee State come out the gate with like one of the best sounding bands in these first 2 weeks. The song selection for me was questionable. Really wasn't really anything memorable or to take home with. I remember previous years we got things out the gate like Regulate from Tennessee State, something to get you out there, something to put your eyes on. They really didn't give me any of that, and their core sound was in question. We had a comment saying we want to see Northwest State versus Tennessee State. I do. I really think, based on what I've seen so far, man, I feel like Northwest State could take it. If Tennessee State doesn't show up how they've typically been in previous years, I feel like Northwest State could take that away, and I feel like that would really skyrocket their program as far as on and notoriety.
I disagree. I disagree because I think Tennessee State is going to get up for Norfolk. You know what I'm saying? Like in that sense, like
okay,
and I'm glad you said that. So let's talk about Norfolk versus Hampton, which was this past weekend, the Battle of the Bay battle. So okay, I literally have in my notes, right? And then we talked about this before with these different battles. It's like I'm hearing what I've already heard before. And again, not only just old songs, but I feel like that's the reason why a Tennessee State battle, but I think Tennessee State would crush Norfolk State because they don't have the depth of song selection to really like come out like that. Like they don't have that, to me, in my opinion. And if they do have that, they're gonna only do it when it's time to do that. They don't do it throughout the whole season. And I really feel like Norfolk, they take advantage of their weak schedule. Like the fact that they have Norfolk State is going to be, of course, one of the best bands in the MEAC, right? But it's like they don't have that competition that they can really get up for throughout the week. So I really feel like they chill. And to me, this is another one. Like it was raining outside, so it wasn't a long fifth, but they played like Freak No More, and they played like the same songs they played at Houston. Didn't really get up for Hampton, but I feel like Hampton had the energy because Hampton just battled Grambling in New Jersey last weekend for the Brick City Classic, which is my first time ever hearing that. And Grambling straight ate Hampton, right? But you gotta go through the fire. Nova doesn't go through the fire enough, bro. And to me, that's why I feel like them versus Tennessee State will be. I mean, it'll be a good, like you said, it'll be a good battle. but I feel like Tennessee State would go crazy on them. Sorry, let me jump from Grambling. Well, did you see Norfolk State versus Hampton?
I did not.
Okay, great. Let me jump from Grambling to Hampton, which was last week in New Jersey. Shout out to Grambling, yo. Shout out to Grambling. Shout out to their staff. And we've been talking about this since they got a new band director maybe 2-3 years ago. Bro, Grambling to me has very much improved their sound. And I really feel like Hampton really tried to overcompensate. But they have better arrangements than Hampton. I've ever heard Hampton play. So like that's what made me say like them versus Norfolk was, if it was longer, it would have been more interesting. And if Norfolk would have actually like tried to dominate this band, they would have. But to me, it was just like, fall on deaf ears. But of course, Graham ate Hampton. But we have to talk about this. And we talked about this last season. Songs that we need to retire. I forgot what we called it. I forgot what was the name of the list. The retired song list. But I have an induction today, and it is SOS. Stop playing SOS. It's for Florida schools, FAMU in particular. Let them have it. Playing SOS in the 5th is crazy, bro. Crazy work. Shout out to Hampton for doing that.
Oh, God.
Took the L when I heard SOS. That's a 0-quarter fan fest song. If anything,
0-quarter with you have no opponent.
Yeah, the band is marching in, and you can play. Okay, you can play SOS. Ain't nobody tripping. SOS is crazy. That's all I got. We can move on.
I saw the This takes me to the Savannah State versus Bethune battle. Yes. So they had a whole neck battle in the 5th.
That's what I'm talking about, man. You know what though? Okay, so Savannah State is the type of school that they just happy that they can compete with the band like that, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna play like but that's Bethune's fault though, bro. Bethune, of course, how many times are we gonna say this, man? Bethune in this style that we're so tired of seeing all the time, and being on display. And Bethune is a lot smaller than normal.
Right. They trimmed too much fat.
They trimmed a lot of fat. They trimmed a lot of fat. There was a lot of deductions and scholarships going around at Bethune. Shout out to Savannah State. I remember seeing them maybe a couple of years ago, like 2019, something like that. And they had so many short, quick songs. It was crazy. I mean, they probably had like 12 quick ones. So shout out to Savannah State. I know they was burying them quick ones throughout the game. But that's another one. Again, bro, these MEAC schools, right? It's like, bro, I need y'all to compete, man. It's like somebody has to really, we need multiple bands that are on top of each other's heads. So just like the SWAC, man, we talk about this all the time. But like every week in the SWAC, we just saw Southern versus Alabama State, and then they just saw Jackson. Like, look at the competition that they had to go up against. And every week, like you said, like when you was at Jackson, like you want a bye week. It seems like every week is like and then both bands show up like that. Like that's how I felt when I was at the A&T game. Like I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing? Like it should be an energy, like I hate you type of energy. But it's like they're so much into the game, that it's hard to get it out of them. And then by the time we get to the 5th, it's like it's not that many songs they're gonna play. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be a 15-minute 5th, and then we out. So I would say that going back to our theme, which is trim the fat, definitely when it comes to these MEAC schools, trim the fat when it comes to these old songs. We do not want to hear these older songs that we've heard before, that we heard early in the year, and you cannot say it's because the kids don't want to learn newer songs or different songs. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Staff issue. What you think?
Yeah, you got to get rid of them songs, man, because in that battle in particular, they had an ASAP battle too. So I'm like, come on, yeah. So at that point, I had to pause it. I was like, okay, let me take myself back. This is not 2023.
Right.
We in 07, 06
2008,
now.
right.
We in 07, 06 now. All right, let me judge it with those ears.
Yeah.
And see if I can make something. But like, seriously, like challenge your students, challenge your audience to get some more diverse stuff up there, because man, I really love when a band plays a song and I have to go find the song. Right. That's what I really love. I'm like, yo, what is that? So I got to go type in whose song is that? Whose arrangement was that? Make me feel the song and make me go look for the song. Just survive off the notoriety or how popular the song was to make me enjoy what you play.
Yeah, and don't like you said, like lean on the notoriety of another band from the previous year. Like we talked about that earlier with Boombox. They played older songs, but it was in the zero. You know, in the zero, you can kind of get away with, and these were bigger songs at that time. But like some of these bands are playing older songs that and it's now they're comparing it to. So now when it starts playing, I'm not like, what song is this? Oh, who wrote this? I'm thinking, is this going to be better than the 2014 model? Or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, and that doesn't challenge the audience enough. And band directors don't think that people are paying attention to this type of stuff, bro. But we are. We literally are. And the students, forget us. We done graduated. It's the high school kids that really care about it. They are too. And that's why these programs, the big programs, are continue to work how they work, because they continue to push the envelope. And the kids are like, I want to be a part of something that's like new or different, or like trailblazing in our field of marching band. So yeah, man. We appreciate you guys for listening. Diversity equals born to the young generation.
Maybe so. I don't know. They want no parts of diversity. See, like this makes me think like, how are these programs coming up with this stuff? Because like is it based off what the students are like, or is the band directors too comfortable with the students not receiving it well? I think it's individual case by case basis with a lot of these programs. But you know, as far as the viewer and the fan perspective, I don't care who fault it is. I don't care who likes diversity.
Yeah.
We want to see it, you know. We want to see some different stuff, man. I've always been a fan of like originals from bands, like even original compositions that make you go, "Ooh, what is that?" No, this is we wrote that. So I think, So let's even that. Let's get into last week we had a PV versus Texas Southern. Did you watch the battle?
I watched a little bit of it. I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
So what you think?
PV. Great example of trim the fat, yeah. Great example of trim the fat. When I played against PV and when I watched PV, to me they've always sounded like literally a storm. They sounded cloudy as far as how they sound projected. It wasn't enough.
Hey, it's their identity. We talk about being in your identity. They sound like a marching storm. Is the point that we're saying?
Right. Give me more lightning. Let me get some more strikes. More lightning in the store. But I felt like this year, they were a lot more clear, smaller than we've typically seen them, and still brought a lot of aggression, but it seemed more direct. And I felt like in the zero, they really displayed a lot of that as far as the energy. And I felt like the zero was very, very, very competitive. I feel like early on in the zero, the whole zero, they had a better sound than Texas Southern. Now, when the fifth came, it just seemed like these bands completely flipped. Like, I don't know what happened. It just seemed like Texas Southern just had like a what's it called, like a Senju bean or whatever from Dragon Ball Z, just bigged up on them and they sounded so much better. The arrangements, they had the Lupe Fiasco, let's go to the Paris, wake up in Tokyo. I was like, that was real grooving. I really enjoyed that. And Texas Southern is really going to be a problem this year, man.
Yes. And every time I see Texas Southern now, I really like the creativity that they do. And that's an example of a band program that pushes their kids. They don't care, bro. At Texas Southern, you're going to play like, bro, you know what Texas Southern was playing like 5 years ago? The type of arrangement they were playing, it was very easy, very elementary. Now Texas Southern really is like, to me, the staff is really challenging the kids, and it's paying off. We were talking about this 2 weeks ago. I was kind of nervous that Texas Southern was going to lose that energy that they were having with the next couple of years. But in this fifth, like you said, it switched to me, and I'm very excited for them. So I'm excited to see what Texas Southern does for the rest of the year. And PV too. Obviously, them being smaller now, you can focus on a lot of stuff. But yeah. So let's get into, before we leave, let's get into some predictions, because we have some games that are coming up.
Right.
All right. So, hold on. Let's see. Let me scroll down. All right. So, we can do these kind of real quick. Hampton versus Howard. Who you got?
Hampton.
Hampton's way more battle tested. They've been around. They done seen Graham. So Howard to them is going to be great. And this is the big HU game. So it's going to be a lot. It's a rivalry for them in their school. So they can really be big dog out there. So shout out to Hampton. I think that's going to do. Miles, UAPB.
Oh, Miles, man. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be an interesting matchup because of where these bands currently are. Shout out to UAPB for battling right off the back the two. I can't say it now because they ain't giving it me. But we used to call Miles in not Texas Southern, but Tennessee State the Squat Killers. I was thinking this season.
Right. Exactly. That's what we talked about earlier, man. Like these disruptive bands, which has a great place in the culture. We'll talk about that some other week. Southern versus Alabama A&M.
Southern.
I'm excited to see A&M. I haven't really seen them this year.
Really, I ain't seen them since their fan day. But I feel like A&M can win. But just from what I've seen, I'm a big Southern because I have always known Southern to make improvements, and I feel like they have some things to look at and make some great improvements coming off this boombox.
Definitely. I haven't seen anything from these two bands, but Bowie versus Shaw. I haven't seen anything from either one of those bands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have to do some
flip a coin.
Central State versus Tuskegee. Now hold on. We didn't talk about this, but last week or 2 weeks ago, it was a battle in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Right.
Which was it was Talladega, Central State, South Carolina State, Central, Benedict,
Talladega.
I said Talladega, and another band. I forgot who the other band was, but I heard, bro, Central State really took over the whole battle. Obviously, like with that same kind of like small band, big style, but they're etching at these like bigger bands, and we always talk about that just being Bethune. Bethune was the other band that was there. But so with this battle, I have to go Central State versus Tuskegee. I have to go Central just because of what I heard from them in their aggression.
Yeah, I'm gonna go too.
Yeah. Benedict versus Lane. I'm gonna go Lane. Lane is way more aggressive. Lane is a little bit more like we about to buck up on you. What you think?
As far as the battle, I feel like Lane's probably gonna have a better song selection. Execution, I really haven't. I watched the little pieces of the battle from Benedict. I need to see more to make sure to get them a W. Right. So I'm gonna lean toward Lane.
Bet. All right, we're gonna do this a little fast because it's a lot of Alabama. Albany State versus Morehouse. Albany State. Virginia Union versus Livingstone.
Union.
I'll say Union.
I'll take Union. I'll take Union now.
Bro, Livingstone has a good, Livingstone has a good they have a good history when it comes to band. Like so. Yeah. But yeah, Union. Lincoln versus Fayetteville State. Fayetteville State.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I ain't seen Lincoln. Lincoln?
Oh, Lincoln. I'm thinking Langston. Yeah.
No. Lincoln. Lincoln in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
No. That's Oh yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. St. Aug versus Virginia State. Virginia State. Oh, Virginia State was at that battle too. Again, very
they active this year, even though they playing before I let go on the 5th and everything. But
yes. Winston versus Elizabeth City.
Winston.
Clark Atlanta versus Savannah State.
Savannah State.
Edward Waters versus Fort Valley.
Fort Valley.
Yeah.
Shout out to Fort Valley, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, we appreciate you guys. Those are our predictions for next week. Make sure you follow the page. Make sure you follow It's a FaceOff on all social media. Again, guys, we appreciate you guys for listening to us, and as we comment on band, of course, we know we love it week to week. We're gonna make sure that we give you guys our takes on everything. End up not going to February. Not going to February.
Dang.
Well, that answered that question. All right. Make sure you follow me. You can follow me at Horatio Radio, man.
You can find me follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I call it Twitter. It's Twitter. At mine, MINE_mind, MIND 75. That's MIND_MINE, mind, like mind my business, like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, bro. Next week, man's gonna have a better Twitter handle, okay, for everybody. Cause that oh, it's right there. Mine, mine. So okay, 75. Great. You gotta have someone you can say it real quick and they get it. All right,
Mine.
guys. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you follow the pages. We'll see you guys next week.
There
Have
you
a good
go.
one.
You have a good one.